In the heart of Washington, D.C., just steps from the White House, a quiet November morning was shattered by an attack no one saw coming. It happened near Farragut West, on a route walked by tourists, commuters, and members of the National Guard assigned to protect the Capitol. But on this day, two young soldiers were targeted in what investigators would later describe as an ambush-style shooting. One of them was Specialist Sarah Beckstrom, a 20-year-old military police soldier from Summersville, West Virginia. She had enlisted to serve, to build her future, and to make her family proud. Instead, her life was cut short in the shadow of one of the most secure locations in America. Tonight, we uncover what led to the attack, who Sarah Beckstrom was, and why federal authorities believe this shooting was more than just an isolated act of violence. This is the story of duty, danger, and a tragedy that unfolded just 2 blocks from the White House. This is the ambush near the White House, the tragic case of Special Sarah Beckstrom. Welcome to Crimecore Network, where real stories are stripped to their core, and the truth is examined, one detail at a time. Every case has clues, every suspect leaves a trace, and every mystery waits for someone to connect the pieces. Tonight, we take you inside a case that changed everything. Not the rumor, not the myth, but the evidence, the story of pride, service, and sacrifice in honor of Special Sarah Beckstrom. Support this channel. Help us scale, like, share, engage, and comment. Subscribe for more true crime stories. This encourages us a lot. Specialist Sarah Beckstrom was born in May 17, 2005, and raised in Summersville, West Virginia, a small Appalachian town where community matters and where people learn early the value of looking out for one another. Graduated with honors from Webster County High School, her military awards include the Defense Meritorious Service Medal, Army Service Ribbon, West Virginia Legion of Merit, the D.C. Distinguished Service Medal, and the D.C. Humanitarian Service Medal. From a young age, Sarah showed a quiet sense of responsibility. She grew up surrounded by familiar faces, close neighbors, and the kind of environment where character is shaped through everyday actions rather than grand gestures. Those who knew her remember someone steady, thoughtful, and determined, someone who took life seriously, even before adulthood arrived. As Sarah moved through childhood and into her teenage years, that sense of purpose only grew stronger. She was not impulsive about her future. Instead, she thought carefully about the path she wanted to take, one that would allow her to stand for something larger than herself. That path led her to service. On June 26, 2023, Sarah enlisted in the West Virginia National Guard, joining the United States Army as a military police soldier. It was a defining moment, a transition from civilian life into a role that demanded discipline, courage, and accountability. She trained hard, adapted quickly, and carried herself with professionalism beyond her age. As part of the 863rd Military Police Company, 111th Engineer Brigade, Sarah accepted the responsibilities of protecting others, knowing that service often means standing in harm's way without recognition. In August 2025, she was deployed to Washington, D.C., supporting security operations in the nation's capital. It was a mission rooted in trust that young service members like Sarah would stand watch quietly, faithfully, and without hesitation. The mission that defined her last moments of honor, pride, and sacrifice. To stand guard so that others could live freely. On that cold November morning, just 2 blocks from the White House, 2 young National Guard soldiers were carrying out their routine patrol near Farragut West. They walked calmly, unaware that someone was already watching them, preparing to strike. They never saw the shooter, and within seconds, one of them would be fighting for his life, and the other, the youngest, would never make it home. This is the ambush-style attack that shook Washington, D.C., triggered a federal counterterrorism investigation, and left a small town in West Virginia grieving the loss of a daughter. 20-year-old Special Sarah Beckstrom, who served with pride. Sarah Beckstrom grew up in Summersville, West Virginia, a quiet town known for its lakes, forests, and tight-knit community. She was the kind of young woman everyone described as calm, compassionate, and dependable. At 18, while many were deciding on college, Sarah made a bold, life-defining choice. She enlisted in the West Virginia National Guard on June 26, 2023. She joined the 863rd Military Police Company, a unit under the 111th Engineer Brigade. Before and during her service, she worked at a behavioral health center. Helping others wasn't just a job to her, it was who she was. In August 2025, she deployed to Washington, D.C., joining the Guard's security mission near federal buildings. This was her first major deployment, and tragically, her last. She was young, but dedicated. She was only 20 years old. As Thanksgiving approached, security in the capital shifted into its usual rhythm. Tourists explored the decorated streets, government workers headed home early, and National Guard soldiers performed their patrols with precision. On the morning of November 26, 2025, Sarah and her fellow guardsman, 24-year-old Andrew Wolfe, were assigned to the area near Farragut West Station, just a short walk from the White House. Nothing seemed unusual. No warnings, no tension. Just another day on duty in one of the safest areas of the Capitol. But someone else was already there, watching, waiting. Danger was nearer than the oxygen they breathed. A man federal authorities would later identify as 29-year-old Ramanullah Lakanwal, an Afghan national, had been seen in the area multiple times. His presence drew no immediate suspicion. Around mid-morning, reports and witness statements recount the same sequence. A man approached quietly, closed the distance, and without a word, opened fire. The shots came so suddenly that neither soldier had time to react. People on the streets screamed, running for cover. Cars halted in the roadway. Chaos swallowed the peaceful morning. Sarah collapsed instantly. Andrew fell moments later, gravely wounded. According to Reuters and multiple mainstream outlets, the attack was ambush-style, planned, deliberate, and brutally efficient. Emergency calls flooded 911. Federal agents flooded the scene, sealing off the area where two young service members now lay wounded on the pavement they had been assigned to protect. Federal investigators, including the FBI, labeled the case a possible terrorist-motivated shooting. Agents searched the area, reviewed surveillance footage, traced movements, and began constructing the timeline that preceded the attack. But in those first hours, everyone was focused on saving the lives of the two young soldiers who had been shot without warning. Sarah and Andrew were rushed to a D.C. hospital. Andrew, just 24, was placed in emergency care, fighting to survive. Sarah's condition was even more critical. Doctors worked urgently. Her unit waited anxiously. Her family back in West Virginia prepared for the worst news imaginable. The nation didn't yet know what had happened. During a Thanksgiving-era address, President Donald Trump delivered the update. His voice carried across the room with an unexpected somberness. Specialist Sarah Beckstrom had died from her injuries. Her death was confirmed publicly, and the news spread across every major network. A young National Guard soldier, a service barely 2 years old, who enlisted out of a desire to help others, who had chosen duty over comfort, service over safety, who stood watch over the nation's capital, was gone. Across the military community, tributes poured in. West Virginia mourned. Her unit, her second family, felt the loss sharply and personally. The investigation shifted rapidly. Reports described the shooting as potentially terrorist-motivated, a possibility that immediately elevated the case to national importance. The suspect, Ramanullah Lakanwal, 29, became the focus of the FBI and federal counterterrorism officials. The suspect was apprehended alive. His identity was known. His past was documented. Afghan nationality, resident in Bellingham, Washington. married with 5 kids. He was not undocumented. He was not in hiding. He had passed through official channels. Lakanwal entered the United States on September 8, 2021, under Operation Allies Welcome, following the U.S. withdrawal from Afghanistan. By April 2025, his asylum application was approved. Legally, he belonged. Socially and psychologically, investigators would later suggest, he struggled. Before the United States, Lakanwal lived a vastly different life. He served in Afghanistan's 0 units, elite paramilitary forces operating under the Afghan National Directorate of Security, with training and support from the CIA. These units conducted night raids, operated in extreme secrecy, engaged in counterterrorism combat, witnessed high casualty rates. Former members often carry long-term psychological scars. However, authorities have emphasized, military experience alone does not explain criminal violence, and it does not excuse it. In Washington state, Lakanwal's life appeared stable on paper, and in reality, it was unraveling. According to investigative reporting, he struggled to find stable work. He became socially isolated. He had difficulty supporting his family. His online presence grew increasingly dark and withdrawn. Community volunteers reported that attempts to connect him with counseling, mental health support, and veteran-style transition services failed. Importantly, no official report confirms a diagnosed mental illness, a political ideology, a terrorist directive. Which brings investigators to an uncomfortable truth. This case sits in a gray zone where motive is not yet proven. The FBI continues to investigate whether the attack qualifies as terrorism, targeted ideological violence, or a deeply personal psychological collapse. As of now, no manifesto has been released, no online claim of responsibility, no verified ideological trigger. What remains is intent without explanation, and that uncertainty has consequences. This wasn't just a shooting. This wasn't random. This was an attack carried out within sight of the most powerful office in the world. Authorities intensified operations, analyzed digital footprints, and interrogated possible associates. Dozens of federal agents were deployed, but still the biggest question lingered. Why target 2 young guardsmen? And why here, so close to the White House? Investigators continued to piece together motive, connections, influences, anything that could explain the attack that stole Sarah Beckstrom's life and left Andrew Wolfe fighting to recover. The official federal investigation continues. Lakanwal has been charged with first-degree murder, assault with intent to kill, firearm offenses. The courts will decide guilt, but courts do not always explain why. In Summersville, West Virginia, the news shattered the community. Sarah wasn't just a soldier. She was a daughter, a friend, a helper in her community, someone who believed in service even when it meant sacrifice. Her hometown held vigils. Her unit honored her memory. Her family faced the unimaginable. And in Washington, the place where the attack happened, security posture changed yet again. Another reminder that even in the heart of federal power, danger can strike without warning. Specialist Sarah Beckstrom did not fall in a foreign war zone. She died steps from the White House, in an act of violence designed to shock a nation. The Beckstrom case reminds us of something equally unsettling. Some threats are not hidden underground. They walk quietly among us, shaped by war, displacement, silence, and neglect. Her story is a stark reminder that service members, no matter how young, stand on the thin line between order and chaos. And on November 26, 2025, that line was crossed. This story is not finished, and until motive is known, justice, though pursued, remains incomplete. Her life, her service, and her sacrifice will not be forgotten.